believe it, if you don't believe it, we will come back and do another show, and Jordan will pull out the
all
picture.
the pictures. Yes, I want to see
and you can
pictures.
zero in on Gerald Ford, who has some sort of satanic shrine in his home, as I understand it, from inside sources. I had talked to one fellow at this was in Anaheim years ago, at Knott's Berry Farm, after a Billy James Hargis meeting, who had claimed to be a member of some witches' covenant. He'd mentioned 2 congressmen which were involved in satanic cults, and there were, I guess, warlocks. And I only remembered one, because he was the #1 congressman for the Republican Party, the House Minority Leader, Gerald Ford, then later the selected, non-elected president, who then selected the non-elected vice president, Nelson Rockefeller. So we had a president and vice president of the United States that were not elected by us, but selected by them. And if you take a look at the administrations of Ronald Reagan, who said that Jimmy Carter should be criticized, or you criticized Carter for having had 18 members of the Council on Foreign Relations and Trilateral Commission appointed to key positions in his administration. Ronald Reagan had in excess of 200. He is as phony as a $3 bill. And Ronald Reagan is not a right-winger, folks. He is a phony. He is a phony.
He was known in Hollywood as Red Ronnie.
Red Ronnie, yeah. Red Ronnie.
You've indicated that this conspiracy has some goal that they want to accomplish by the year 2000. I wonder if you could spell that out for me.
I've done an article called Global 2000. There's a thing out there, and you've read it in Life magazine. You've seen the front cover of the NASA SETI program. I mean, you've seen the big picture from outer space, and they've talked about $100 million investment, $100 million to invest to find out whether there is extraterrestrial intelligence. Well, they got something going here. You remember War of the Worlds?
The radio broadcaster?
Yes, by Orson Welles, 1939.
Yes.
Well, we've got something else coming in. They're going to make the announcement that they have discovered extraterrestrial intelligence. And this will frighten the people of the world and say, oh my God, how can we deal with this as a nation? But we can only deal with it, as the United Nations. Yes, we're going to have the United Nations, a one-world government. Yeah, it's necessary, they're going to say. It's absolutely necessary. Why?
Tell me.
To defend ourselves from those little green men, from the aliens that are out there. They will make that announcement. And the whole program is phony. It's fixed. It's set up. And you're going to be the patsy unless you understand what's going down and who's doing what to whom.
And if you think that's far-fetched, just remember that the Soviet Union was put before us in our media, in our television, in our radio, in our newspapers as being an evil empire, a frightening, powerful, evil, militaristic empire.
Who can't even feed its own people.
And now today we find it's like the Wizard of Oz. He comes out from behind the curtain, we find out they've been starving all their life. They can't even grow enough potatoes to make vodka. They have to import the potatoes. They haven't even got a railroad track across their country. They're starving. They have always been starving. They're broke, and the only military materials they had is the stuff that we sent to them that we are not using anymore, shells of rockets, shells of planes, and it's just an evil empire on paper.
Dwayne,
they're starving.
You asked about this Luciferian thing by the year 2000. I was concerned when they sent up the Galileo mission, because they sent up the Galileo mission to explore the planet Jupiter. That went up in 87 or so? Something like that. It's already gone. It's on its way, folks. It's going to Jupiter. It's going to reach the planet by 1995. It's going to circle the planet. And then by 1999, it's going to be drawn into the planet where it will simply explode. What does it have on it? It's got 49.25 pounds of plutonium, enough for, well, let's say 10 hydrogen bombs. What is the atmosphere of Jupiter made up of? Hydrogen. Now, this, if it were to be ignited, would give us a second sun.
Right.
And I thought, my God, the year 2000, a second sun. I said, where have I read that before? Something struck me. I said, wait a minute, Arthur C. Clarke, 2010, Odyssey 2. I went back to the last chapter. Guess what the last chapter's called? Lucifer Rising. And he talks about the ignition of the planet Jupiter by the year 2010. And he said at the very end of the book, you can read it, go to the library, pick it up, look at it. He said that the NASA space program was interested, Dr. Robert Jethro, I think it was, or Jethro, was interested in this particular thesis for the Galileo mission. So we're talking about a space exploration program that not only is going to go, it went up. That was in 1982. This was sent up 5 years later. It's already on its way. If that thing ignites, it would give us a dual solar system.
So what we're talking about is
and they would
suns.
rename the planet from Jupiter to Lucifer.
Right.
And that's exactly what Arthur C. Clarke talks about in 2010. So we're talking about Lucifer 2000.
There'll be no more nighttime, so there'll be no more opportunity for crime at night. There will be more sun now because you have two suns now in our solar system.
And the increase of the growing system, like the Matanuska Valley north of Anchorage.
And this may sound
Alaska.
pretty far-fetched, but you had better look at the facts. The fact is that this thing is carrying plutonium. It's going to Jupiter, and they know what it's going to do when it does crash. So,
and this NASA SETE program could be used as a vehicle to frighten the people of the planet into surrendering their sovereignty and to accepting a one-world government. And we're talking about a group out here called the Federal Emergency Management Association,
right,
which came in mass when the riots took place. They create chaos, then they create control.
Over the world headquarters in Switzerland of the World Masonic Headquarters for World Freemasonry, over the door is Ordo ab Chao, which is Latin for order out of chaos. And all Freemasons know that term, Ordo ab Chao. Order out of chaos. The concept is to create chaos, to create the problems. Then while the people are frightened to death of all the crime and everything that seems to be out of control, a riotous situation, the government then moves in with justification. In order to put down this terrible chaos, they must have full power of the military, full obedience of the people to give the government full power to do whatever they want. That's why we're having all over the world wars, riots, bloodshed, famines, all kinds of things happening around the world. It's being manipulated. It's being orchestrated. Not just for Los Angeles.
It's conflict control.
Conflict control.
There's been more wars since the creation of the United Nations than before the creation of the United Nations. More wars since 1945 to 1992 than from the beginning of time through 1945.
Let me explain
and the people
this
who created
point.
the Council, the United Nations, were from the Council on Foreign Relations,
Yes,
including Alger Hiss, the first Secretary General of the United Nations Organizational Council.
When fundamentalists kind of talk about their ideas that kind of parallel to this, they at least have what they consider to be some ray of hope that Christ will come down and save us all, or something like that.
Right.
Do the two individual whatever have any kind of hope or anything that you can give us?
The creation of a free world alliance.
A free world alliance.
A free world alliance. That's the creation of many, many, many different nations where individual rights and sovereignty is respected so that we can do our own thing in our own time. I'm talking about laissez-faire. I'm talking about free enterprise.
Sounds like
not corporate
libertarianism.
Socialism like we have right now.
Would it be fair to call you libertarian or not?
I'm an anarcho-capitalist, libertarian, quasi-conservative. I believe in conserving not the status quo, but conserving freedom. And these freedoms that we have are drifting away. They're going through our fingers like water or sand. We've got to grasp hold of the Constitution. We have to use